I should have died that night. Every time I replay it in my head, I still don't understand how I made it out. It started on a quiet Thursday around 11:40 p.m. I was the last person leaving the small design studio where I worked. We shared the building with a medical supply company, so the hallways were always empty at night, lit only by those buzzing fluorescent lights that made everything feel colder than it really was. The moment I stepped into the hallway, I noticed the exit sign flickering. Normally, it didn't bother me, but that night it made the hallway feel longer. I walked toward the elevator like I always did, scrolling through a message from my friend. Then I heard it. Slow footsteps behind me. Not heavy, not rushed, just following. I turned around, expecting to see the night janitor, but the hallway was empty. I blamed the echo and kept walking. When the elevator arrived, the doors slid open, and I felt this strange instinct telling me not to step inside. The light inside the elevator was dimmer than usual, and something about the air felt stale. I still stepped in, though. I hit the button for the ground floor and leaned against the rail. Right before the doors shut, someone appeared around the corner. A man. Hoodie up, head down. He moved fast. Too fast. He shoved his arm between the closing doors, forcing them open, and stepped in without looking at me. He smelled like metal and sweat, the kind of smell that sticks to someone who's been outside for too long. The doors closed, and suddenly it was just the two of us in that cramped box. At first, he stood facing the corner, breathing heavily. I tried to convince myself he was just having a rough night, but then he turned his head slightly, just enough for me to see his jaw clenching. His hands were both in the front pocket of his hoodie, and the pocket looked weighted. Too weighted. The elevator hummed as it descended. Around the fourth floor, it shuddered a little, a normal thing in that old building. Except this time, the man whispered, "Not yet, not yet." My stomach dropped. I didn't know if I should pretend I didn't hear him. I froze. Third floor. Second floor. When the elevator slowed to stop, he stepped directly in front of me. His hood still covered his eyes. He said, "You work late," voice low and shaky, like he was holding something back. I had stuff to finish. My voice sounded so small. He kept staring at me, even though I couldn't see his eyes. He reached into his hoodie pocket. I thought that was it. I thought he was going to pull a knife or a gun or, I don't know, something sharp, something deadly. Instead, the elevator doors began closing again. I panicked and pushed against him, slipping past before they trapped us both inside. I stumbled into the lobby and sprinted toward the glass doors. That's when I heard him whisper behind me, almost disappointed, "Lucky night." I didn't look back. I ran into the cold air, straight to my car. My hands shook so badly that I dropped my keys twice before getting in. The man never followed me. He never even left the building, at least not that I saw. The next morning, I told security. They checked the footage. They found the elevator recording. They saw me. They saw the elevator but it was empty. The security guard rewound the footage 3 times. No man ever stepped in, but the camera in the hallway, the one with the bad angle, they saw him there, hood up, head down, standing just outside the elevator. And the saddest part, he didn't follow me inside because of some supernatural reason. The guard paused the hallway footage and zoomed in. The guy had a long, thin knife tucked under his sleeve, barely visible. He wasn't whispering nonsense either. He was counting. He was waiting for the moment the elevator security camera couldn't see him. If the elevator had been 1 second slower, or if I hadn't pushed past him, I wouldn't be here writing this.
In 2018, I backpacked around Eastern Europe alone. I was 24, cheap, and overconfident. I'd done hostels and budget airlines, and figured an overnight train from Krakow to Budapest would be no big deal. The ticket agent gave me a paper ticket that said Coach 14, berth 32, compartment B, women only sleeper. Perfect. The platform was chaos. Backpacks, cigarette smoke, people yelling in Polish. I found Coach 14, checked the numbers above the doors. Bunk numbers were confusing, but when I slid open the door marked B, a man in his 40s was already inside. He was in the lower bunk, reading a newspaper. Dark hair, neat clothes, a leather satchel propped on the seat. I hesitated. Hi, I think this is my compartment. He looked up, smiled, and held up his ticket. I saw my train number, same coach, same compartment letter, but his berth said 31, and mine was 32. See? He said in accented English. 2 beds. You have top, I have bottom. It's okay. I frowned at the paper. It looked legit. Stamp, barcode, everything. I glanced up the corridor looking for a conductor. Nobody nearby. It was awkward, but not unheard of. Women-only cars aren't always guaranteed. I told myself I was being paranoid and climbed up to the top bunk. He was polite. Asked where I was from, offered to help stow my bag. He had that European train etiquette down. Contained, not too friendly. About 20 minutes after we left, a young conductor came by to check tickets. I handed mine down. The man handed his. The conductor looked at his, then at mine, then at the little chart on the wall. No, he said in English. This one is economy. No bunk, only seat. He tapped his ticket. Printed on it was Coach 6, seat 48. Entirely different from mine. The compartment number was scribbled in blue pen. This is mistake, he said smoothly. They changed me, told me here. The conductor didn't look convinced. I could feel argument building, so I jumped in. It's okay, I said. He can stay. I'm fine. The conductor hesitated, then shrugged in the universal, not worth the paperwork way, marked our tickets, and left. The man smiled up at me. Thank you. We rode in silence for a while. The train rocked, dark countryside slid by. Around 11 p.m., he pulled out a plastic bag with 2 little bakery rolls and a thermos. You want? He asked. I bought too much. I was hungry, but every travel blog in the world screamed, "Don't take food from strangers." No thanks, I said. I'm okay. He shrugged and ate his quietly. Around midnight, he said, "Long trip. You should sleep." He opened his bag again and took out a small pharmacy box, blue and white. These help. I take every trip. Very safe. He rattled 2 pills into his hand and held one up like an offering. My heart thudded once, hard. I don't take sleep meds, I said. His smile didn't slip, but his eyes cooled a little. Is not strong. You distrust me? The word hung there. Distrust. Yes, I thought. Out loud, I said, I just like to wake up if something happens, you know? He put the pill back, still watching me. Then he laughed softly, like I'd made a joke, and took both, himself, with a swig from the thermos. 15 minutes later, he was snoring. I lay there in the dark, clutching my money belt under my shirt, listening to his breathing. Something about the way he'd insisted, the fake ticket, the scribbled compartment number. My brain wouldn't shut off. Around 1 a.m., I climbed down as quietly as I could to use the bathroom. His satchel was half under the seat. My paper ticket was sticking out of the outer pocket. I frowned. I'd put mine in the little net by my bunk. I picked it up. It was my ticket, my name, my berth and compartment. In the net by my bunk, folded so the name didn't show, was another ticket. Same train, same coach, different last name. Female, Polish sounding. Same berth, 32. The seat on hers was scribbled out in blue pen and replaced with my compartment number. I checked the date. Hers was for 2 weeks earlier. My stomach flipped. I looked at the man, still asleep, breathing slow, maybe too slow. I took his pharmacy box from the little ledge. The label wasn't in English, but the generic name was. I pulled out my phone under the blanket of my hand and Googled it. It wasn't just a sleep aid. It was a sedative used before minor surgery. Strong, especially with alcohol. I put everything back exactly how I found it and went to find the conductor. It took me a while to track him down between cars. I pulled him into the little space by the doors and tried to explain fast. The reused ticket, the pills, how he'd accidentally ended up in another woman's compartment 2 weeks ago with the same berth. He got this tight look on his face and asked me to show him. When we got back, the man was awake. The satchel was zipped, the tickets were gone. The pharmacy box was back in his bag. He looked between us mildly. The conductor asked for his ID. He produced it without complaint. Local address, local name, no obvious red flags. Problem? I opened my mouth, then shut it. Nothing I had was proof, just vibes and a mismatched ticket. The conductor murmured something to him in Polish, then turned to me. He will move to seat in coach 6. Car for reservation only. You have private compartment now. He's okay. He said it like a done deal. The man watched me with unreadable eyes as he gathered his stuff. As he slid the door shut behind him, he said, in perfect, unaccented English, you should be more careful about where you leave your spare key in hostels. You're not hard to follow. I felt my blood drain from my face. He smiled thinly, then turned and walked down the corridor. Once the door latched, I twisted the lock and dragged my backpack against it for good measure. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. 2 weeks later, in a hostel in Vienna, I saw a notice pinned to the bulletin board, in English and Polish. It warned female travelers about a man on regional trains approaching solo women in sleeper compartments, offering sleeping pills and robbing them when they passed out. There was a grainy CCTV photo attached. Even with the bad angle and the blur, I knew that profile. The neat hair, the satchel strap across his chest. The caption said, he hadn't just taken money. They were looking for him in connection with a woman who never made it to Budapest.
The janitor always emptied the same trash can at 2:45 a.m. It took me a month to realize he shouldn't have been in the library at all. I worked the overnight shift at my college library one semester, midnight to 4 a.m. Slow, quiet, mostly regulars. You'll learn the patterns fast. There were 3 of us on that shift, me at the front desk, an older woman named Diane in the back office, and a student security guard who did rounds once an hour. We only had one night janitor, Mr. Reed. Late 50s, gray hair, quiet. He pushed his cart around with headphones in, emptied bins, vacuumed. Every night, he'd hit my floor around 2:45. Same route, same order. Last stop, always the small trash can next to the study corrals in the far corner. One night, I realized it was weird. He didn't touch the other cans near it, just that one, even when it was basically empty. I watched him from behind the desk. He'd wheel his cart over, look around once, then bend down with the bag. His hands would be in the can an extra second or two, like he was placing something, not just grabbing trash. After he left, I walked over to that corral. Empty can. Nothing weird. I told myself I was bored, making things up. A week later, a girl came up to the desk around 3 a.m. Hoodie, laptop, huge dark circles. "Hey," she said, "do you guys have Lost and Found?" "Yeah," I said. "What'd you lose?" She chewed her lip. "It's stupid," she said. "My roommate says I probably just misplaced it. But my USB drive keeps going missing from the same corral. Third time. Someone always puts it back the next day, but stuff is deleted." I asked which corral. She pointed to the far corner, the one near the weird trash can. I checked the Lost and Found box. There was a blue USB drive with the date on the tape, from 2 nights earlier. She took it, thanked me, left. That dug into my brain. Next night, before my shift, I brought my own cheap flash drive, empty. I taped a note on it. It found "Please return to front desk" with my initials. I plugged it into the computer at that exact corral, opened a blank Word file, typed nothing, left it. At 2:40 a.m., I took a bathroom break, right on schedule. I walked past Mr. Reed in the hallway. We nodded at each other. At 2:45, from the bathroom doorway, I watched through the crack. He went straight to the trash cart, straight to that can. Didn't check any others. He bent down, hand went in, stayed, came out. He wheeled away without touching the computer. After he turned the corner, I went back to the corral. The USB drive was gone. My heart sped up. I checked the can. Empty bag. I finished my shift, didn't say anything. Told myself I'd find the drive and Lost and Found in a day or two. It wasn't there the next night, or the next. On the third day, I asked Diane how long we kept small stuff. She said at least a week. That same night, the student security guard, Malik, stopped by my desk. "You hear about the break-ins?" I hadn't. He said, "Couple off-campus apartments. Girls in anthropology, I think. Nothing big taken, just laptops, phones, that kind of thing. Cops think someone knew exactly what to grab." I thought of the USB drives, files deleted. Someone browsing through people's lives at 3 a.m. while they peed. The next week, I set an alarm for 2:43 a.m. Took out my phone and pretended to scroll while watching the far corner. On the dot, Mr. Reed showed up. Same path, same can, same move. This time, as soon as he turned away, I walked over. Nothing obvious in the can, but taped under the desk of the corral with clear packing tape was a thin, black rectangle. I peeled it off with my fingernails. It was a tiny USB hub. 4 ports, a single black cable ran from it up the underside of the desk into the back of the library computer. Someone could plug a drive into it quickly from the trash can and never touch the visible USB slots on the machine. Less noticeable, faster. I dropped to my knees and followed the cable. It plugged into the back of the tower, right next to a small gray device I'd never seen before, blinking green. It looked like a keylogger. I stood up fast, heart in my throat, walked straight to Diane's office and knocked. She let me in without looking up from her spreadsheet. "Hey," I said, "has anyone from IT been adding stuff to the Corrals?" She frowned. "Not that I know of. Why?" I told her, kept my voice low, left out the part where I'd basically run a sting on our janitor. She called the head librarian. He called campus IT. They sent a guy overnight. Before he got there, we watched the cameras. The security system was old, but it covered the floor. She pulled up the 245 slot from the last week. We both leaned in. On screen, Mr. Reed pushed his cart, emptied bins, reached the far corner, blocked most of the view as he bent by the can. From that angle, it looked like normal janitor stuff. Rewind further, like 10 minutes earlier. She did. At 2:35, the Corral in the corner was empty. At 2:36, a figure entered the frame from the emergency stairwell door we never used. Hoodie up, backpack on. He sat at the Corral, opened the backpack, took out a small black object, reached under the desk, messed around, plugged something in. Then he sat there staring at the screen for about a minute. Then he got up, walked straight to the janitor's closet, and went inside. At 2:44, Mr. Reed came out of that same closet with his cart. My neck prickled. We checked the locker list, read the full name, Michael Reed, custodial. Diane called campus police. When they stopped him at the end of his shift, his reaction told me everything. He didn't seem confused, just resigned. In his locker, they found 3 more little gray keyloggers, a handful of thumb drives, a notebook with times and names. Each page had a list. Blonde ponytail, Anthro textbooks, Corel 12, uses same password for email and bank. Red hoodie, hostel searches, Corel 4, international student, no family here. My name was there too. Front desk girl, alone at night, walks home, no car. The cops traced some of the stolen apartment items to his nephew. His nephew claimed he'd just bought them cheap. Campus quietly changed the overnight shifts after that. No more student alone at the front. 2 guards per floor. People still plug their stuff into those library computers like nothing ever happened. Every time I see someone leave their laptop open and walk away, I want to shake them. Because it wasn't the guy crouched by the trash can you had to worry about. It was the person who knew you'd leave your whole life unlocked for just a minute at 2:45 in the morning. I'd moved to LA to do acting, like half the city. Mostly I bartended and did background work when I could. So when a friend forwarded me an Instagram story from a small production company looking for women 20-30 for a premium streaming reenactment series, crime-based, I jumped on it. The first audition was at an actual casting studio in Burbank. Room with folding chairs, bad fluorescent lights, a bored girl with a clipboard. Totally normal. They took my headshot, had me slate my name, and do a fake 911 call into the camera. A week later, I got an email. "We'd love to have you for a callback for the role of Victim 2. Because of sensitive material and NDA issues, callbacks will be at our private rehearsal space in Topanga. Small group, director and producer present. $100 cash for your time." The address was a house up in the canyon. No public transit, but I had a car. I Googled the production company again. Website looked legit. Past projects, staff bios, contact info. When I pulled up that Saturday, the rehearsal space was an old 1-story ranch house down a dirt turnoff. No visible signage, but a white cargo van and a black SUV were parked out front. A guy in his 40s met me on the porch. Tan, expensive casual clothes. The kind of guy you'd guess was a producer, even if he wasn't. He introduced himself as Mark, shook my hand, and ushered me in. Inside, the furniture was pushed against the walls. There were 2 cameras on tripods, a boom mic on a stand, and a folding table with water bottles. No other actors. "Are we early?" I asked. "Others bailed. It happens. We'll just work with you first. Keep it intimate. The director's in the back." A younger guy came out from the hallway, holding a clipboard. "Emily?" he asked. I nodded. "I'm Jake. I'll walk you through the set." He handed me a stapled packet. No title page, no dialogue, just scene descriptions. Int, bedroom, night. Victim wakes up tied to bed. Struggles, pleads. Action, test restraints, pull, cry, beg. I flipped through. Every page was like that. No partner scenes, no investigation, just victim, showering, answering the door, being grabbed from behind. Is there a fuller script?" I asked. Jake smiled like he expected the question. "We protect the story. It's based on a real case. We can't have pages floating around. We're just seeing how you handle the physicality. You comfortable with simulated restraints?" My skin crawled a little. But actors do fight choreography all the time. I told myself I was being unprofessional if I balked. "Okay," I said slowly. "As long as it's choreographed and not, weird." Mark clapped his hands once. "Great. Quick wardrobe check first." He led me down the hallway to what used to be a bedroom. Now it was racks of clothes, a mirror, and a battered couch. A woman in her 30s with a lanyard, costume, sat scrolling her phone. "Jeans and t-shirt are fine," she said without looking up. "We might swap you into something lighter later for the shower scene." The word shower stuck in my head. "Can I see sides for that? Who else is in the scene?" "Just you," she said absently. In the mirror behind her, I noticed something. On the wall over the couch, barely showing where a poster had been taken down, was a rectangular patch of slightly different paint, like someone had removed something recently. There were also faint outlines where bolts had been, 4 of them, in the shape of a flat-mounted TV. We went back out to the main room. Jake had moved the cameras so they framed the old master bedroom at the end of the hall. The bed in there had no headboard, just a bare mattress with crisp white sheets. "All right," he said cheerfully. "We'll start with scene 3. You're going to lie down, we'll loosely strap your wrists, you fight it, we get some reactions. All very safe." He picked up 2 lengths of black cloth from the dresser. They were longer than they needed to be. "You mind showing me?" I asked. "How tight are we talking?" He wrapped one around his own wrist, made a show of tugging, and then slipped out easily. "See, we're not trying to actually hold you, just sell it on camera." I looked at the window in the bedroom. Bars on the outside. I hadn't noticed those from the driveway. "Do you want to call your agent or anyone, just to confirm rates before we start?" Mark asked casually. I didn't have a real agent, just a friend who sometimes helped with contracts. But the way he said it made my stomach twist, almost like he was checking if anyone knew I was there. "I already did," I lied. "She's expecting my call after." I shared the address. He and Jake exchanged the quick kind of glance people give when logistics change. "Perfect," Mark said too quickly. "Let's roll then." I sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress was new. The frame wasn't. The metal squeaked when I shifted. "Lay all the way back," Jake said. "We want to get the feeling that you're really trapped." I lay down. The ceiling had a hairline crack that ran from the light to the wall, like a pointing finger. He lifted my right wrist. "Just going to loop this. Tell me if it's too much." The cloth tightened twice around my skin. Not loose, not something I could slip out of with a twist. My heart rate kicked up. "Actually," I said, and tried to laugh, "could we maybe do a wide without restraints first? Just the panic." Jake lowered the camera a fraction. "We really need the interaction with the binds. It's the whole point of the shot." Mark stepped closer, out of frame. "You said in your email you were comfortable with physical scenes. If that's changed, we can call it. But it would be a shame after we cleared your day." The cloth around my wrist felt suddenly very real. I forced a breezy tone. "No, yeah, I'm good. I just want to run the beats." "Roll," he said. He tightened the second knot. Right then, my phone, which I'd shoved in my back pocket, started vibrating insistently. The emergency tone, not a normal text. All three of us froze. "Sorry," I said, trying to twist up. "I should—" "Leave it," Mark said. The buzzing stopped, then started again, same tone. It only did that for one thing, my Find My app, when someone used the safety word. My roommate and I had a dumb system where if either of us sent a single word in caps, the other would spam call and, if no answer, share location with each other's moms. We joked about using it on bad dates. I hadn't sent anything, but I had shared that casting call screenshot with her earlier with the address. She must have Googled the company more deeply. "Actually," I said, my voice shaking now, "I really need to get that emergency rule with my roommate." Jake hesitated. Mark didn't. He reached behind my head and pressed down on my shoulder, gentle but firm. "Let's just get this take," he said quietly. "It'll only take a minute." There was a new sound then, not my phone. Car doors slamming, more than one. All three of us looked instinctively toward the front of the house. The doorbell rang, hard, impatient, once, twice, 3 times. In that instant, the cloth around my wrist felt like a noose. Mark cursed under his breath. "Stay there," he snapped at me. He motioned to Jake, and they went down the hall. I heard the deadbolt, then voices. "Oh, sorry, wrong." A woman's voice cut him off. Loud, clear, police trained. "LAPD, step back from the door." Everything after that was shouting. "Hands where I can see them. Clear the hall." Boots on wood. A male voice yelling, "Bedroom left." Terra equivalent for this story. My roommate's cousin worked for LAPD's cybercrimes. Roommate had texted her the casting story with, "Is this a real company? Emily is there now." Turns out the production company's site was mostly stolen credits and fake bios. A couple of actresses had posted vague horror story warnings on private Facebook groups. Nothing concrete enough alone, but